There are many differences between regular people and drug kingpins. Not only is their life full of violence and unexpected events, you just never know when the police are gonna come bang down your door. Their homes are also, well, a little bit nicer looking than ours. People call it narcoarchitectura, the drug lord architecture. Think mansions, swimming pools, luxurious cars, secret passages. Even their own tombs have air conditioning, and it almost feels like a celebrity's fortune. So join us as we have a look inside some of the most controversial drug kingpins' homes that have ever existed. Oh, and a word of advice, kids. Don't do drugs. Joaquin Guzman. Joaquin Guzman, also known as El Chapo, is among one of the most known drug kingpins, and the public has been trying to have a peek into his home for many, many years. It finally happened after his last arrest in 2016. But why did it take so long? Well, Guzman escaped from a high-profile prison twice, and if you're not familiar with the story, he was the leader of the powerful criminal organization known as the Sinaloa Cartel, and many call him one of the biggest drug lords of our time. He was also named as one of the richest people on Earth. His net worth are in the estimates of around $1 billion. Now, his house is quite unique, ordinary looking on the outside, but features a dressing room with a mirror, which leads to a secret doorway, leading to a tunnel down to the city's drainage system. This is where he managed to hide before he was recaptured. And that's not all. After the police raided his home, photos from the inside of the mansion were posted online, and it might surprise you just how much stuff Guzman actually owned. The police found a hot tub located in a man-made cafe in the tunnels. El Chapo also had plenty of stolen art in his possession, as well as exotic animals in his zoo. Just imagine what it would be like if you owned a Black Panther. He also had a bunch of weaponry and plenty of cash like any good drug lord would. And it was spread out everywhere. It must be a real struggle when you have so much money that you're not really sure what to do with it, so you just pile it up all over the place. Although he had paid off local officials and military commanders, the neighbors ended up ratting him out, and his mansion was raided on January 8th of 2016. Which leaves you to ask yourself, how well do you really know your neighbors? Rakesh Saran. Now, some drug kingpins get really creative with how they get their money, and Rakesh Saran didn't just sell drugs on street corners and then smuggle his way to his wealth. He had an online pharmacy, selling millions of dollars worth of pills over the internet, and reportedly earned $50,000 a day on average, which isn't really a bad deal, right? With the money he made, he bought a $1.2 million, 22,000 square foot mansion in Arlington, Texas, and it was just a few miles away from Cowboy Stadium. Now here's just a couple of the things that you would find if you walked into Rakesh's mansion. Heated marble tile, 5 fireplaces, an indoor pool, custom painted murals, and every room has large windows, and the front yard has a large garden. The mansion itself has 7 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms, a home theater, a sauna, a dance studio, and a private library. Not too shabby for a drug kingpin. Since his 2005 arrest, though, his home has been auctioned off with a value of $3.7 million. Paul Yearsley. Now, if these facts didn't make you want to become a drug kingpin yet, the next one surely will. So, what happens when you have amazing designer skills and mountains of cash to spend? Well, let me tell you what happens. People, well, they begin questioning where you acquired all of your cash. And that's what happened to Paul Yearsley, our next drug kingpin. Looking fairy tale-like from the outside, this $9.5 million home based in Manchester, UK, featured a ginormous swimming pool, handcrafted marble tile work, bathrooms with a sauna, a private bar, and a luxurious home theater. In 2009, Yearsley's mansion was even featured in a magazine, and it made Britain's crime agency wonder, how in the world did a man like him manage to get so much money? The guy was a neighbor to soccer stars, and he claimed that he got the money from selling homes to footballers, and that he was a property tycoon. But there's more to his money, as it turns out. Yearsley was a drug lord, and he even admitted to supplying 330,000 British pounds worth of weed. Now that's a whole lot of weed. and his home is on sale for half the amount that he bought it for, due to the ongoing maintenance that's required. Now here's a lesson learned, kids. When you acquire illegal money, try not to brag about it and have photo shoots of your house in a magazine, because you just never know who's watching. And if nothing else, karma will eventually come to get you. And now a comedy break. Hey kids, do you want to hear a joke? Justin Bieber. Haha, just kidding. But it's relevant to our next drug kingpin, as weird as it might sound. Luciano Pezzo. Pezzo was one of Brazil's more successful drug traffickers, and after a massive November 2010 raid on Complexo de Alameo, a notorious Rio slum, Brazilian police found his mansion concealed among the squalor. Luciano was one of Brazil's top drug traffickers, and it took 2,600 police and army operatives to crack through his mansion walls. They said that it wasn't the first and definitely not the last raid. But they did discover something that was really mind-boggling, and a hell of a lot better than any luxurious car, home theater, or even a swimming pool. Luciano seemed to have a hand-painted mural of, you probably won't believe it, but it starts with a J and ends with Justin Bieber. That's right, it was a recreation of his album cover one time, and that's not the end of it. The mural had 2 large holes in it. And according to several reports, it's where he kept the drugs and weapons. A wall opposite of Justin Bieber's mural had Bieber's name full of hearts. No, I'm not kidding. As it turns out, Luciano actually recruited plenty of kids into his smuggling business, and some of them might have even been Justin Bieber fans. Now, while we hope those kids are doing all right these days, the thought of a glorified Justin Bieber poster in a drug kingpin's mansion is just really kind of hilarious. And it looks like there's no limit to Justin Bieber's fandom. Luciano didn't have an official nickname, but judging from these findings, a Belieber seems like a fitting choice. Pablo Escobar. And then, of course, there's Colombian drug lord Pablo Escobar, possibly one of the most well-known drug lords on the planet. His ambition and ruthlessness made him one of the wealthiest, most powerful, and most violent criminals of all time. He was equally admired, just as much as he was feared. And you certainly did not want to get on Escobar's bad side. The man who's behind the famous quote about disloyal friendships is also the man behind the cocaine trade in Colombia. Escobar made money, and he made people kill for money. He controlled over 80% of the cocaine trade to the United States, and that meant a large sum of money, a lot of which went straight into his home. The man dreamt of wealth since his younger days and wanted to become president of Colombia. But that life took on a slightly different path when he began stealing cars and later joined the Colombia smuggling business, earning as much as $420 million in a week. Named as one of the 10 richest people on Earth by Forbes magazine, Escobar was swimming in money, just like Uncle Scrooge, and he didn't hold back in spending it. His house was known as the Hacienda Nápoles, located in Miami, and it even included a zoo full of exotic animals. It's without a doubt one of the most famous drug lord houses, and you can find a lot of photos showing the property after the police had raided it. Escobar also owned several luxury cars, and his estate even had a bull ring along with a kart racing track. Although we can't really imagine Escobar jumping into a go-kart. He even had a private runway for his planes so that he could make his drug smuggling job even easier for himself. Over the years, many entertainers as well as models and celebrities flew to his house to hang out with Pablo, and he was well known in every business imaginable. And upon his arrest, the government, for some reason, allowed Escobar to build his own luxury prison, which he named La Catedral. His employees were his guards, and the prison had a casino, a spa, and a nightclub. So it seems as though this drug kingpin did really well for himself. After his arrest, the estate was so hard to maintain that the government donated the zoo to the Colombian and international zoos after his death. Now, just to give you an idea, the entire estate was 9 times the size of New York Central Park, and there's probably a lot of still undiscovered hiding places. Escobar's former home was also once a theme park, which attracted about 50,000 visitors a year, and in 2016 they began tearing it down. discovering a secret metal safe underneath the concrete, weighing about 700 pounds. The safe is now in the hands of property owners, and we're sure that Escobar had many, many more secrets inside of his mansion, so it's just a matter of time before they're discovered. And now for an honorary mention. Tony Montana's Scarface Mansion. Sure, Tony Montana is a fictional drug lord, but his house was so impressive that we've added it to our list. The 10-acre property is real, and the mansion itself has about 10,000 square feet and is still on the market for $35 million. The price seems so extreme that no one is really willing to go for it. The mansion was built in the early 1900s, but has since been renovated. The front yard features fountains and plenty of Persian-style architecture, while the rest of his bedroom property has more of a modern decor, with mixed Roman and Middle Eastern influences. The rear of the house is just as fabulous as shown in the Scarface wedding scene. It's a paradise to live in, and not just for drug lords. And certainly some drug lords just weren't lucky enough to own a home, although we're sure that they'd look fabulous. Perhaps those like the famous Queen of Cocaine, Griselda Blanco, Daniel Barrara, who burned his own fingerprints to become untrackable, or George Jacob Jung, also known as El Americano. And the list of drug kingpins just goes on and on and on. And although the secrets of their living conditions have not yet made their way to social media, we're sure that the police have seen plenty of mysterious things during their raids. So the question on my mind is, what would you buy if you had all of that money? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're here, be sure to check out some of our other videos on prisons and drug kingpins, and subscribe for more in the future. Thanks for watching. Now, this granny's got more than just butterscotches and tissues in her purse. And that smell? Well, it's not her dental cream. It's the rank odor of crime. Darlene Mays, a 75-year-old grandmother living in Veneta, Oklahoma, puts most drug dealers to shame. Police had an inkling that this little old lady was doing something illegal, but when they raided her home in April of